Alright, fellas. Let me know if you think that I should play a different type of music over it, if you're getting bored of this same soundtrack over and over. Could be interesting to have a bit of dungeon synth or something rocking in the background. Book of Revelations, eh? Definitely getting biblical now. Right, private meeting with Peter, that's right. It was a dark, chilly evening when Peter called and asked if we could meet. He gave no details. All he said was that it was important. I drove alone through Holswood suburbs until I reached the meeting point he'd named, 147 Vruvek Avenue, number 26, our old campaign headquarters, untouched since the night of the election. This was where everything began. I made my way up the dusty staircase to the office building. The light in the second floor hallway was out, so I used a cigarette lighter to find my way to the wooden door marked 26. I pulled on the handle, but it wouldn't budge. The heavy door had always been a pain to open. "Coming!" Peter pushed on the door with all his weight. It made a screeching sound as it opened. "Without further ado, I bid you welcome to this grand nostalgia trip hosted by yours truly, Peter Vecturn." He made an exaggerated bow. The dust from the open door was still settling down. "Feeling sentimental yet?" "Indeed, I haven't been to this place in ages. I miss it sometimes, even that damn door. Come over here, remember this?" He walked over to his old desk and pointed to the gramophone that had annoyed our neighbours and kept us company for so many late nights. Peter flipped the switch and it filled the room with swing music from the 20s. I'll be damned, it still works. "I thought this office was sold off." "No, I've been paying the rent. Too many memories attached to this place just to sell it. And you know, we might use it again soon." He put his hand under the desk and brought a bottle out, took a swig out of it and passed the bottle to me. "That's my boy." Peter snapped his fingers to the music while going through the items in the room. It looked virtually unchanged since election night. "Come on, have a look around, see if it doesn't bring back some memories." Let's have a look and see what's in these storage boxes, eh? In one of the storage boxes I found a heavy object wrapped safely. I unwrapped it. It was an emerald-coloured statue of a goat. Nice. The symbol of Swordland. I remembered that this was a gift from Brenda, one of the 53 election campaign assistants. It would look good on my desk in the palace. Brenda, always sucking up to you, and where did it get her? Seriously, where? I have no idea where she ended up." I lifted the storage box with the statue in it and put it near the door so I could take it on the way out. And I checked my old desk drawers. There were a few old coins, pencils and sheets of paper. Underneath them something caught my eye. It was a photograph of me and Monica sitting under a tree. This must have been 10 or 15 years ago. We looked so young and happy. Monica would love to see this. "Nice find. Look at baby Anton. You didn't even have your iconic moustache back then." Cute. Alright, and what about the records? I found one of my favourite albums ever, Mountains by Janette Gertz, a set of plaintive folk songs that made me yearn for the countryside whenever I heard it. I know that feeling. What a classic. You should mail that to Frank so he can learn what real music is. Enough going through this old stuff. Let's talk. Yes, all in good time. He took a big gulp out of the bottle and staggered to the side afterwards. "I know you, Peter. What are you hiding?" "Nothing. Let's go up to the roof. The view was always amazing from there." He went up to the stairs to the roof. The view was mesmerising. The buildings of Holsor twinkled below us while the stars shone bright in the sky. We sat and leaned back against a wall, taking it all in. Right as I was starting to get up, I heard a sobbing sound. Whoa. I've not yet seen a night sky beautiful enough to make Peter Vecturn cry. "I messed up, Anton, big time. Evelyn's leaving me. She wants a divorce." "What the hell did you do?" I've been sleeping with Livia Suno." "Yeah, well, that'd do it." The secretary. "I had a feeling about you two. We got careless, I know, I'm sorry. It's just, Evelyn hasn't been the same since she lost her job, and Livia was giving me sultry looks from the day I hired her. You were away, I was drunk, one thing led to another. But she's more than just a pretty girl, Anton. She's smart and kind. I think we really connected. Don't tell me you're going to run off with her. No, we're ending things. I told her it's too unprofessional and I want Evelyn back. Who else knows about this besides me and the three of you? Nobody, I swear. Well, maybe Lucian, since he knows everything, but you know he'll never spill the beans. There was an edge of desperation in Peter's voice. He took another drink. How many years have we known each other? How many scrapes have we gotten ourselves out of? I can handle this, trust me. I turned to face my friend and vice president. The habits that had got him dubbed the bad boy of sordid politics when we were young were no longer so charming coming from a middle-aged man. Yet he was still a capable politician, and I couldn't ignore our long history together. I'll be blunt. Fix this or I'll remove you from office. I understand. Alright. Don't mention it. I mean it. Don't mention it. Alright. I'm not going to call anyone. Tut tut tut. What a naughty boy. Alright, what do we got here? Read the report from the Valgsland. Valgsland has announced a slew of trade sanctions against us, with increases of up to 30% of import tax on certain goods, along with the cancellation of military arms sales, medical assistance and other economic cooperations between our two countries. These sanctions come as a direct reaction to the alliance signed with Lesbia. Okay, 30% import tax on certain goods means a decrease in our economy, although having a look at it, we've got 5 bars at the moment, which is pretty sweet. That's an improvement from last video. Maybe that'll get knocked down. Cancellation of military arms sales. Okay, not really an issue because we just signed a trade treaty with Lesbia and they have better military. And Valgsland's probably primarily interested in selling naval supplies, which we don't need anyway. But even just regular arms, we will just get them from Lesbia instead. That'll be great. We want to strengthen our allies, not our opponents. Medical assistance, okay, that's fine. And economic cooperations, yeah, we knew that was going to be the cost in order to be able to sign up with ATO. The sanctions came as a direct reaction to the alliance side with Lesbia. Yes, that's correct. Alright, what do we got here? Chancellor Hagel has condemned the military alliance between Swordland and Lesbia, calling it a great threat for the people of Eastern Merkapa. Mate, we live in Eastern Merkapa, we're not a threat to ourselves. Bloody Muppets. He announced that the Valgslandian government is readying new sanctions against Swordland, which will be aimed at crippling the Swordish economy. Yeah, is that right? You'll do nothing. Alright, what do we got here? Start of day at the palace. The Maroon Palace was empty, save for a few cleaning staff. I entered my office and was shocked to see Lucian already there, waiting for me. Mr. President, good, I was hoping you'd be early. Lucian, I know you're punctual, but this is ridiculous. I have a sensitive matter to discuss. I have very good reason to believe your Vice President and your Secretary are engaging in illicit relations. Yes, he told me. It's over now. You know, you knew and you didn't come to me with this information? I assumed you were already aware. You do know everything that goes on in this palace, after all. That's the ringing of the bell for my political career. On its own, given Mr. Vecturn's established reputation as something of a playboy, the affair is unlikely to cause much damage. However, a more troubling possibility has been brought to light. A recent conversation with Mr. Hailstone, our whistleblower from Rumburg, revealed the presence of a spy within the Maroon Palace. Is that right? I believe Miss Suno is our mole. She has been using her relationship with Mr. Vecturn to gather information. Tell me more. I can do better than that, I'll show you. Lucian reached into his coat pocket, pulled out an audio tape and fed it into the reel-to-reel machine on my desk. This was recorded at a palace at 1809 on the second day of your trade visit to Lesbia. He pressed play. I heard Peter and Livia's voices. You sure everyone's gone for the day? Relax, Liv, nobody's working that hard with President stick his ass off in Lesbia. Livia giggled. I heard the sound of kissing and then of drinks being poured. I'm glad you stayed behind. Did he tell you how it's going over there? Do you think there's a chance they'll form an alliance? In a matter of fact, yes, he and Prime Minister Alvarez just sealed the deal. But enough work talk, Miss Suno. I want you bent over my desk now. Lucian grimaced and switched the tape off. Curiosity about foreign relations doesn't make one a spy. Perhaps, but why so much curiosity about these particular alliances, if not because they could strengthen us against Rumburg? And that's not all. I found her resume on file, and there's a year-long gap between her finishing secretarial school and starting at the Maroon Palace. Normally this would have been looked into, but Miss Suno was hired before a background check could be completed by one Peter Vecturn. Good morning, Mr. President. Mr. Gallardo, I didn't realise you'd be in so early. Can I get you some coffee? Close the door and have a seat. Is something the matter? Enough pretending. Your secret is out. I'm not sure what you're talking about. You know perfectly well. I'm sorry, Mr. President, I was foolish, and Peter was so nice to me, but it's over now. Nobody ever needs to know. That's not what the President means, Miss Suno. We're referring to you being an intelligence agent for Rumburg. She sat upright and looked shocked. Pardon me, Mr. Gallardo, but are you feeling all right? He's fine. What do you have to say for yourself? Mr. President, I understand if you don't want me to keep my job, but why smear me with outlandish accusations? Miss Suno, indulge me for a moment. What were you doing in the year before President Rain's inauguration? Livia's face flushed. All right. I assumed it was just the affair, and then I thought, well, that would actually give us a really good reason to fire her, just to get her out of the office if we can't tell whether or not she's actually a spy or not. But potentially she could actually be a spy, in which case we really ought to imprison her and pump her for information. Problem being, if I do that, Peter will probably intervene because of his soft heart. If you must know, I was working as a cigarette girl at Porto's. It's a Lochhaven saloon. I was saving up so I could afford my own place in Holsword. Here's the proprietor's number if you need to double check. She scribbled a telephone number on a piece of paper. Lucian snatched it up. And why were you asking Peter about my alliances? To tell the truth, Mr. Rain, I was hoping to run for office myself someday. I want to make a real difference in the world, like Mrs. Morgner or Ms. Valda. But I guess I messed that up by getting involved with Peter. Now they're all going to say I just slept my way to the top. Wait, how do you know about that conversation? There was a large pounding on the door. Peter barged in without waiting for an answer. He was unshaven and wore the same clothes as the night before. I came as soon as I heard the three of you were in here. Anton, what the hell are you doing? I told you I had this under control. Sit down and shut up. Ooh. Peter took a seat on the far end of the sofa. He looked over at Livia and noticed her troubled expression. God, why involve her? This is my mess. She did nothing wrong. She's a spy, Peter. You messed up big time. What? I have reason to believe she's been relaying information to Rumburg, information that you leaked to her in your carelessness. Lucian rewound his tape and played it again. As Peter listened, his eyes widened in disbelief. Lucian, you rat bastard, you've been bugging my office. I'm sure there's an explanation for this. I have noticed the Vice President's behaviour becoming increasingly erratic and unprofessional over the past months, and I wanted to get to the root of the cause. So you wiretapped your own goddamn colleague, and for what? Have you been getting off on this, you pervert? Certainly not. I believe that along with the Rumburg whistleblower's admission that there is a spy in the palace, and certain gaps in Miss Suno's resume, the tape makes a compelling case to investigate the Secretary for Espionage. Whether or not the investigation yields positive results, Mr. Vecturn ought to be held accountable for his willingness to divulge such sensitive information. He ought to stand trial, or, at the very least, resign. Peter's jaw dropped and Livia stood up. If I may, Mr. President, I've been paying attention to what goes on in the palace, not because I'm some sort of double agent, but out of genuine interest. Hard as that may be for you to believe, Mr. Gallardo. She scowled at Lucian and then turned back at me. From what I've seen, this man has been attempting to undermine your vice president at every turn, perhaps with the goal of replacing Peter himself. Theoretically, she could make that argument if she's a spy, because it incentivizes division in the governance systems, which is, an ideal outcome. So I find that suspicious. But how do I play the middle course of this? Oh wait, she's not talking about Peter. She's talking about Lucian. No, Gallardo's... Yeah, right. Nonsense. Lucian's been nothing but loyal. Loyal to you, it's true. He could never stand me. Lucian frowned. My personal misgivings about Mr. Vecturn aside, I would never do anything to harm the administration. Mr. Vecturn, on the other hand, has at best committed adultery and at worst delivered state secrets straight into enemy hands. Who could I believe? Lucian, can I speak to you alone for a moment? Peter and Livia out now. Peter and Livia, please wait outside while I try and talk some sense into Lucian. What are you going to do, Mr. President? We should investigate Livia. I appreciate your trust in me. And Mr. Vecturn, what will you do about his willingness to compromise Swordland's security at the drop of a pencil skirt? I'll decide once we have the results. Very well, just keep in mind you may need him to shoulder the blame for this. Yeah, possibly. I'll apologise to Miss Zuno and tell her this has all been a misunderstanding. We can't have her running away during the investigation. Thank you. Very well, sir. I sat by myself for a while, wondering what exactly I had set in motion. Yes, well, that is rather the question, isn't it? A scandal would certainly not be good. But if it's a scandal which is just, some playboy politician bonking his secretary, that's not really so bad. Especially seeing as he already has that reputation. And actually that kind of behaviour can lead to an upswing in votes from certain portions of the population. On the other hand, if we investigate and she's actually a spy, then we have to imprison her. And if the information gets out, I'll need to fire him. Or if it even looks like it could. On the other hand, if we imprison her because she's a spy and he's... and we can keep him on side, then that'd be good, seeing as he is an old mate of mine. It all depends on how the cookie crumbles once we actually put some pressure on it. Results of the affair scandal. No, that was quick. Several days had passed since I ordered the investigation into my secretary, Livia Zuno. Both Peter and Livia had been acting unnaturally nice to me, believing I'd let them off the hook for the affair. They seemed to be avoiding each other in the hallways, though. Good. I was just settling in behind my desk when Lucian knocked on my door. A moment of your time? Our security team travelled to Lockhaven to speak to the owners of the pub Miss Zuno named. They confirmed that one Livia Zuno had worked there. Their description of her did not match that of your secretary. However, it did match that of an unidentified corpse that washed up in Linkberg Bay 2 months before your inauguration. Whoo, boy! The Rumbergians executed somebody so that they could sneak a spy in. Oh, shit. Further investigation by our operatives in Rumberg matched Miss Zuno's description to a woman named Ilana Vance, last seen graduating from Crimsrad Political Sciences Institute. There you go. Our whistleblower from Rumburg recognised the name Vance as belonging to a deeply embedded covert agent, although he had previously assumed it was a man. That lying, two-faced succubus. To be fair, Miss Zuno was just doing her job. Your vice president, on the other hand. But none of that can be helped now. The question is, what are you going to do, sir? I'm going to have Peter castrated. I'm going to murder them both. What do you think I should do? Arrest her for treason, of course. Well, I would arrest her for treason, but I would prefer to do it silently. Let's see what Gallarda's opinion is. Standard procedure would be to try Miss Zuno for treason. If we do so, it's only a matter of time before the media pieces together what happened. I'll look like a fool for having her under my nose this entire time. That's why you must let Mr. Vector take the fall. I know his actions were problematic. This is my fault as much as his. I should have suspected something. Well, I'm not the one who, No, I told you, Peter did nothing wrong. I know you think you'd be a better vice president, but enough is enough. I know his actions were problematic. Problematic is an understatement. Mr. Vector has put you in danger by failing to order a background check on your closest personal staff. He betrayed your confidence to a woman with whom he was committing adultery. Anton, what would you do the same to your so-called best friend? No, I wouldn't. I am your chief strategist. I have advised you on what I believe is the best strategy, but of course the ultimate decision is yours. Let's see. So what I'm thinking about is, if I ditch my mate, which I think I can be justified for, and would he really be that angry at me, considering how badly he screwed up? And mind you, he has been drinking, so he might be quite unreasonable. And using the media to cover it up if it goes to trial is a tempting possibility. On the other hand, Gallardo is an extremely good strategist, so if I promote him to vice president, I think overall that could be a really good thing. Alright, yep. I hope you don't regard this as a backstab. Very well, I shall consult with our friend Mr. Caronte and write a statement for you to read at the press conference. I'll leave you to handle Miss Vance. Thank you. I called Karl Greiser from my desk and explained the situation, and after a few minutes I rang for Livia. Is there something you need, Mr. President? Please sit down. Why did you call me in here, sir? I nodded towards the office doorway. Karl Greiser was standing there along with two of his guards blocking the entrance. Ilana Vance, you are under arrest on suspicion of treason. Please come with me. What the hell is going on, Mr. President? Have you let Lucian get to your head? I thought you were smarter than that. If you thought I wouldn't trust my closest advisor, you're the stupid one. Karl's men grabbed her arms and began dragging her out. No, you can't do this to me. Anton, what's going on? Her name's Ilana. Lucian was right about her. She's a spy. That can't be true, can it, Liv? I won't say another word without my lawyer present. You're a sad old drunk and a lousy lay. Whoo-hoo! Honestly, if I were a Rumburg spy, I'd barely have to do a thing. You two have Swordland ripe for the taking. Oh yeah, she's just being spiteful. She straightened up and ran a hand through her curls and allowed Karl to lead her away. Whew. Wowza. Bit of drama there, lads. National security breached. Yep. We still don't know what information has been leaked to foreign powers. True, but the primary elements of the activity are pretty straightforward. I think they know what our alliances are, and they probably have a pretty decent idea of our capabilities already. Although losing the details will certainly be a problem if she managed to get those. Righto. Press release. Remember what we talked about, Mr. President? How could I forget? I was about to blame my best friend for a scandal that would otherwise shatter my administration, and Peter still had no idea. Thank you for coming. As you are aware, Livia Suno, former secretary for the President of Swordland, is currently being tried for treason. As you are aware, Ilana Vance, the Rumburg spy who posed as my secretary, is currently on trial for treason. Good. Rest assured, Rumburg will be made to answer for its latest affront to our great country. However, the fact remains that she should never have been allowed to infiltrate our administration in the first place. That she did can be directly traced to the carelessness of one man, Peter Vectern. Mr. Vectern's recklessness, to say nothing of his betrayal of Swordish values, has disgraced my administration. Therefore, the Vice President has tendered his resignation, effective immediately. There we go. What the hell, Anton? We never discussed this. Well, what else did you think would happen? Peter looked at me in disbelief and then shook his head. I guess I had this coming, the way I've been carrying on. I just didn't think my best friend would be the one to stick in the knife. The reporters were becoming hard to ignore. Mr. Vectern, I will be answering all questions on the Vice President's behalf. President Rain, were you implying that Mr. Vectern and the covert agent posing as your secretary were engaged in intimate relations? Yes. Were you aware of this when it was happening? No. Neither the President nor the Vice President will be taking any more questions. Thank you. The reporters reluctantly dispersed. Lucian, Peter and I looked at each other for what seemed like an eternity. Finally, Peter lowered his eyes. I guess I'll go to the palace and start packing my things then. I'll come with you. Peter shook his head. I watched him descend the courthouse steps to his car, alone. Mr. Vectern certainly made a scene, but it appears that you will make it out of this unscathed. Nice. Of course, there's now the matter of replacing both your secretary and your vice president. I have a few candidates in mind. Very good, sir. All right. Scandals. Scandals. Yep, that's what happened. President Secretary arrested for treason. President innocent in spy scandal. Thank you very much. Rumburg infiltrated Maroon Palace. President's Secretary arrested. I wonder if the Rumburgians are going to do their usual whining over it. New Vice President. And I'm going to select Lucian. Blah, 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 blah. Sir. You know why you're here. I do. In my current capacity as Chief Strategist, I've evaluated the experience and capabilities of the potential Vice Presidency. Presidents, objectively, I am by far the most qualified candidate. I would advise you not only to think about our long history together, but also to the many crises I have helped shepherd you through. I won't say much beyond that. I believe my work speaks for itself. You're such a valuable strategist, I don't know if I can afford to lose you in that capacity. Yeah, but he'll still be a strategist for me in the Vice President's position. Public might gossip about your lack of a wife. Don't care about that. You wanted Peter's job from day one. How do I know you won't try to have me ousted next? Well, you will. That's what politics is. No, this is the one that I suppose. My ability to serve you in this administration will only increase. I expect you will make the right decision. You seem confident. I've already made my choice. Fantastic. Blah, 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 blah. I hope you guys don't mind if I zip through this one. Your experience would be a great asset. Conservative voters. Could be oral. Could be useful. I'll think about it. You being a woman could also prove advantageous. Not just any woman, a strong woman who was able to protect order in the room of unruly men for 7 years. Think about the message it would send. I'll consider it. Okay. And Claven. Let's be straightforward. Why should I pick you? He's the reformist ring. What can you provide me with? Reformist members of the party will be more likely to support you. Yeah. That makes sense. Bloody, 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 blah. That'll be all for now. Hoo-wee. And here comes the selection. Pick Lucian. Nice. Done. Alright. Kind of had to zip through those ones. Cool. I'll talk to you next time, lads.